Well, if you haven't heard by now, the United Nations has reclassified cannabis out of its draconian Schedule 4 from 1961. We're going to dive into that, where it came from, what they voted on, how it arose, and more on this very special international episode of... My name's Tom, but you could find me on Instagram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer. It's where a lot of these are. And then this is cannabis legalization news like no other. It's historic cannabis legalization news. One of the best things about liking and subscribing to this channel is that you get to tune into history and you also get to participate in it, because you can always call your legislature officials if they have not yet voted for cannabis, or in my case, if they already have voted for cannabis, but they haven't done it enough right yet, or they haven't done enough right yet. So yesterday, the day before, December 1st, it's been going around for a bit, and I've seen them now on everywhere, and I was able to read a lot of them. Let's share some of the activity here. The New York Times is reporting on it, the UN Times, Forbes, and let's see how long it takes before we find one that is a joke headline. Do we see any joke headlines in there? Let's see. No, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. We don't see any joke headlines. That means that we're actually making progress, and the the United Nations vote on reclassifying cannabis, what specifically happened. The best article that I saw so far that's going around on the internets is actually from the MJBiz Daily. It has a really good version. It also has a cool little table about all the countries that voted for it and all the countries that voted against it. You see, not everybody voted to legalize cannabis. In fact, the vast majority of them didn't. It was quite close. It was 27 to 25 and one abstention. And so the United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs accepted the World Health Organization's recommendation to remove cannabis and cannabis resin from Schedule 4 of the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. Now, if you're just tuning in, please do give us the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And you also might be saying, how come he's so herky-jerky? Well, I am on a backup computer because my Mac broke, and I don't think it can handle the graphics, to be honest. I don't think it can handle the graphics. So back in 1961, one of the guy's biggest achievements, and by the guy, I mean Harry J. Anslinger, not the best guy in the world, used a lot of lies to push the laws against the cannabis plant, called it marijuana. And in 1961, the United States was one of the lead exporters of this single convention on narcotic drugs that came out that year. And it really focused on 3 drugs. Can you guess what they are? It's 1961, so LSD is out. Marijuana, and of course, opium or heroin by that time, and cocaine. So those three real products. And then it's not like the Controlled Substances Act that has schedules 1 through 4, as if they are golf. You know, the lower the schedule, the more dangerous. It's the opposite. So they're Schedule 4. The higher the schedule, the more dangerous. And they had it in Schedule 4 alongside heroin, just like they do in the Controlled Substances Act, for a good long time. And now in 2019, the World Health Organization made news. And they said that they should take it out of Schedule 4. And then 2 years later, well, 1 year later, almost 2021, I shouldn't round up yet, the UN actually voted on it. So the United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs has very many member states. Like I said, the vote was 27 for moving it, 25 against moving it, 1 abstention. That's a lot of votes, a lot of different countries. And what countries actually voted against it? That one's a little bit easier for us to find out. Man, I really should have spent the extra $300 and gotten a better computer, but I spent a lot of money on the Apple and then it just took a crap on me. So thank goodness I got the AppleCare. The move was favored by the US and most European nations, but was opposed by China, Egypt, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Russia. That sound in the background, that is a magical butter machine making some magical tincture right now. It's CBD and THC extract of the tincture. And so the measure that they voted on won't have an immediate impact, and it also wasn't the only measure. It was the only measure that passed. They voted on several other things besides number 5.1, as they say. They also voted on other members, 5.2, to move THC from the 1971 convention to the 1961 treaty. That failed. 23 in favor, 28 against. And there's also recommendations 5.3 and 5.6, which tied the approval of recommendation to 5.2. But because 5.2 lost, that it was mooted, and so they didn't vote on those. Recommendation 5.6 was about placing THC pharmaceutical preparations into Schedule 3 of the 1961 treaty. Again, even the whole globe still has a problem with this THC chemical for some reason. I mean, I understand that it needs to be regulated, but I'm not sure why they need to think that it needs to be criminalized like this. And then there was recommendation 5.4, a proposal to delete extracts and tinctures of cannabis from the 1961 treaty. That one was rejected, 24 in favor, 2 abstentions, 27 against. So as you can see, what we're learning here is first the WHO makes a recommendation, and then eventually UN takes it up about the next year. And then there's various recommendations, and the vote is quite close. You know, it's 24 to 27 or 23 to 28. There doesn't need to be that much more opening up before what happened right now will get better in the future. And so, like I said, welcome to another historic episode of Cannabis Legalization News. Where's the bumper? Found the bumper. Unfortunately, it looks like the connectivity issue has gone away. So now we also could talk about recommendation 5.5. And that one was the way far afield one. That one, only 6 people voted in favor of. And when I say people, I mean countries like Spain or France or something. 4 abstentions and 43 against. So that recommendation represented a missed opportunity to clarify the confusing legal situation for CBD preparations with traces of THC. As you know, many CBD preparations will have traces of THC. They are what they would call the full spectrum extracts. The proposal was drafted in an ambiguous way, and the WHO's responses to member states' questions about this recommendation over the past 2 years have added confusion. So more clarity will be coming. Hopefully what will happen is once marijuana is taken out of this class 4 and moved up, you're going to see more research. And then you're also going to see the world not fall apart. And with the CBD ruling out of the European Union Court, also just last week or the week before, more history being made in cannabis legalization news. That should open up the CBD market, which hopefully for the farmers here that we have in America, that should be good, right? Keep the price up. And in a few more years, maybe the WHO will make some more recommendations because they'll have more data. They'll see the sky isn't falling. People are actually getting better. And more of these will open up. And eventually, Harry Jane Anslinger's reign of terror that started in the 30s when he started waging war based on lies against the cannabis plant will eventually be over. But you can see how manipulating truth and just doing it because you're the law and order, that Gestapo tactic, it can last for decades, even after it's there. And still people, and by people, of course, I mean states, countries, are not quite ready to vote for full legalization. However, it's another historic episode of cannabis legalization news. The UN has voted to reschedule cannabis out of the most dangerous narcotic schedule under the 1961 Convention on Narcotic Drugs, out of Schedule 4, and into a different one. On Sunday, I think we have a really good program. Have I killed enough time yet to do one of these bumpers? No? Well, this is for all the people that are tuning in. Okay. Just because there's 54 people here, I'm going to drop the, if I drop that, hopefully not add to it, remove it, and then can I remove the actual, I'm trying to stop the screen there. Great. Try to reduce the overall burden on this really, really limited computer's GPU. So any questions from the audience? You got 50 people out there, man. Yeah, Miggy. Miggy's not on this one. Oh, wait, there he is. Miggy. Hello, Miggy. Did you see Amazon might be selling CBD soon? I did. I saw that. Amazon might be selling CBD soon, which would be insane. But then I don't think Amazon's going to start selling CBD until you see the FDA provide some type of guidance. And that FDA memo is evidently out there somewhere, but now there's a transition. So whomever is leading the FDA will not be the person continuing to lead the FDA. I'm really looking forward to seeing who the Department of Ag guy is, and then also who the FDA person is. Are they going to be, oh, there's that magical butter machine again, making that magical tincture. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be in charge of FDA and USDA for cannabis policy, and DOJ as well for the DEA, and then also the enforcement. So again, there's a budget year coming up. We're in the CRs, and so we'll see what the money is going and how the money is going to be apportioned. And right now it's Thursday. It's 2 p.m. on a Thursday in Washington, D.C. on the week that they were promised the MORE Act vote. Well, there ain't been. See, there we go. What is going on with the MORE Act? The MORE Act has made it out of another committee, and it's supposed to come up for a full vote. And by full vote, I mean it's bicameral. Question to the audience: what is the only state in the country that is unicameral? One chamber of commerce. Chamber of Congress, not commerce. There's one state. Write it in the comments. And so with the MORE Act, in Congress, the House of Representatives, they passed it out of committee. That meant it got some floor action. It just got out of another committee. That means that it's now supposed to come up for a full vote. And they said it was going to come up for a full vote this week. Tune in. I mean, again, give us some thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because when they do actually have that vote, we want to come on live, and then we want to report on it. I will have to have like Lauren or somebody, because if I try to share a screen with this hunk of junk that I'm using to a live feed, it's just not gonna work. I'm gonna be all buggy. Yes, we were talking about the UN. Once again, thanks for joining us, everybody. Huge cannabis legalization news. The United Nations has voted to reschedule cannabis out of its most heinous Schedule 4 under the 1961 United Nations Single Convention on Narcotics. For some reason, the science 60 years ago, because they didn't understand it and they were probably suppressing any attempts to research it anyway, they lumped marijuana. They called it marijuana. They called cannabis marijuana, and then lumped it into a narcotic. Can you believe that? That wasn't that long ago, 1961. Oh yeah. Committee debate didn't sound too promising on the Republican side. No, the Republicans, you watch this, because right now they're talking, like I said, CR budget, CARES Act spending plan that's going to get us through until March next year. They're talking about it's about $1 trillion. Not all that much cannabis is in it. And is the Safe Banking Act in it? Probably not. Otherwise, we'd be hearing about that. Are they going to defund? Magic butter machine. Are they going to defund the Department of Justice from enforcing state marijuana laws? I'd say state or hemp, marijuana or hemp laws. Let that be the state's job to enforce those. And haven't seen that. So we have to kind of like wait. But I do know that Republicans are saying marijuana's in this spending bill more than anything else. I'm like, good. I'm glad marijuana's in the spending bill. Anybody else? Put those likes up. And of course, then leave us something in the comments. If I fill another 5 minutes talking to the audience, I can have, good, Earl Blumenauer, or a cannabis mask on the floor. Pretty awesome. Thanks, Biggie. Hopefully work's going well, man. Hi, Nick. Will the UN rescheduling help change the U.S. federal opinion? The U.S. federal opinion, like there's this, nobody likes telling the U.S. what to do. And so they kind of look at the UN that way sometimes. But no, I think it's really going to help the rest of the world. The United States is kind of leading. Like it led in prohibiting the cannabis plant with Harry J. Anslinger that called it a narcotic, called it a marijuana, put it into this 1961 single treaty convention. And now the United States has come around. Like, they finally did the science. And they found out that it was completely wrong and completely false. And so now I think they're leading on legalizing the plant. And I bet the United States actually voted for a lot of these more liberalizations. When will we know? After it's too late. I do have Darth Vader in my basement. I didn't know you knew that. All right. Yeah. So when the MORE Act is up for a full vote in Congress, tune in then. I'm going to sign off. It's kind of sucks because there's like 72 people watching. So, I'm not used to having there be 72 people watching. But I'm trying to kill the 20 minutes. The long and the short of it is, over the next few years, the UN will continue to liberalize the cannabis laws, and the United States will continue to liberalize the cannabis laws. But the United States is leading in cannabis. You see, our cannabis science, except for like Colombia, and then it depends what you mean by science, like the production science of it is quite advanced. And then the extraction and the processing science, it's still, we can't compete on price per pound for like Colombia's, or you don't really grow your own coffee indoors in Canada because you can, the market's going to change, and it's going to be interesting in the next 10 years. So, with that, smoke them if you got them, like Miggy says. Miggy, we're going to be talking with some great guests here, maybe even tomorrow. I mean, again, we expect to vote on the MORE Act this week. That's what they said. So tomorrow is Friday. That's my magic butter machine. Hopefully we're going to be on, Miggy, me, Lauren, discussing who voted, what was the vote, what's next, and then we're going to try to see if we can get some guests come on to talk about what they believe the MORE Act's passage in Congress means for 2021. Okay, I'm pretty sure that I've made it 20 minutes, which means if it's 20 minutes and I start at the top of the hour,